How's everybody doing tonight? Looked a little angry in chat tonight. I just screenshotted the last 3 messages I had, which was, I went whoop whoop. Rick says, what's so whoop about it? Speaky says, I'm not watching this stream. And Omicron says, what's taking so long? I'm like, wow. Wow. Like, way to make a guy feel welcome, guys. Can't wait to start the stream. Like, woof. How about a little bit of positivity up in here? Let's be happy, man. Like, wow. Does anybody remember laughter? Let's have a good time tonight. I'm looking forward to this. A long day, long hectic day, and I'm just blowing it off. I'm blowing off the negativity. Like, I had a long real life day, and I'm very happy to be here with you guys tonight. Very happy. How's your guys' days going? Huh? You guys having a good day? We got some Inside Star Citizen tonight. The Inside Star Citizen review doing very well. I'm very happy. Like, lots of momentum. I apologize that this is so late, but I literally have been busy all the way up until about half an hour ago. I've been doing a lot today, but I was looking forward to this all day. I'm finally here, and so I figured let's start the show and let's see what this is about. Now, also, if we have enough people by the end of the stream, I know it's late, but if we do have that kind of momentum, that positivity, we are going to go over a poll that we took with over 500 votes. Oh, you feel that? Yeah, I'm starting to feel better. 500 of you voted. I think that's a record. I think that's a record on our polls, man. 500 votes on survival-based mechanics, which I think this Inside Star Citizen is about. But, you know, without further ado, let's just hop in and let's see what we have here for today's Inside Star Citizen, and let's review it. All right, my favorite show with my favorite people. The fam's here. It's super late. It's nearly 12 o'clock at night here. Late night ISCR stream. Very unusual for me. Very busy day. Let us check out what we are going to delve into, which I think may be survival-based mechanics, which I am so excited about because it adds that level of realism. I want realism in my games. I want my decisions to matter. And when we're talking survival, I don't want to go so hardcore that it like gets me out of a mode of just having fun playing a game, but I want it just right. Like Goldilocks walking into that cottage, and the bears are there and the porridge is out on the table. One's too cold, one's too hot, but this one is just right. And that's what I want. That's the kind of survivalism I want to see in Star Citizen. Let's see if we're going to get that. Very interested. And for those that stick around, if we have enough people, I will get into a poll that we took here in our community about survival-based mechanics. We'll see where we're at the very end of this. Very excited to get into that. I hope we have enough people to really get into that. If not, I'll do it tomorrow morning. I get it. It's late. All right, here we go.
In the universe of Star Citizen, we want the choices players make to matter.
Jared's looking a bit healthier. I'm happy about that. Jared's looking a bit happier. I'm happy about that. And the last 2 Inside Star Citizen episodes have been much more positive than the beginning 3. So let's hope we're hitting a home run on this.
What ship will you need for a particular mission? What kit will you use to accomplish your goals? What supplies must you have to survive the elements and duration found in your upcoming enterprise?
Yes.
The adventurer that masters preparation will find themselves with an edge over those who hap themselves haphazardly throughout the universe. And that's where the upcoming actor status system comes into play. Now, more than just putting on a jacket when it's cold or eating a ration when hungry, the actor feature team are working to create a system that aims to avoid the treacherous traps of tedium and tiresomeness while providing a fun and rewarding experience to players.
Star Citizen's not really a survival game in the traditional sense. Survival games generally kind of
Okay, this makes me excited already watching this field of snow. I'm already digging it. K-Bomb's asking me what game I think does survival correct. Now, I have my modes where I am hardcore survival. Like, I recently played a game called Scum that I was really into. I didn't really pick up like it was supposed to, but I did like the survival-based mechanics off Scum, which is very, very hardcore. Do I want Star Citizen to be that? No. But like if I were to say to like a survivalist based game that did it right when it comes to it, I would say Scum's a decent one. Old school Ark, like a long time ago in a faraway land, I played that. But good question, Kay. Good question, dude.
Pin, eating and drinking and, you know, staying warm at the, you know, the forefront of the gameplay. That's kind of their main game mechanics are to kind of keep yourself alive. Whereas the Star Citizen experience is so much more. It's just another addition. It's been very interesting working on it, actually. Actor status is essentially anything that can affect the status of the player. It's been like a mini science lesson every day. It's just because you want to ground this in reality. We want the player to kind of like have a realistic response to the environment they're in and change the way they play around the places that they're visiting. And we want to make it so it's not getting in the way of you doing anything, but it's something that you have to consider depending on what you want to do.
I like that answer. He doesn't want it to get in the way of the overall fun experience, but he wants it to be an important aspect of game. I like that.
One of the big things was like, you don't think about it very much, but you know, people always just say hypothermia in reference to cold. People don't think about it also being hyperthermia when it starts to get a little bit hot. We also found out kind of like how much humidity and wind chill affect the temperature. If it's humid, you can't sweat and wick away temperature from your body. And if there's wind chill, it affects, you know, the temperature a lot and makes things a lot colder. So
this will affect battles. This will affect planet side, moon side battles as well, if you really think about it, depending upon how hardcore they're going to get. I've got bated breath here waiting to see
kind of
how
like looking all
hardcore it's
that
going to
up
get.
online and just kind of like reading some like scientific journals and whatnot, just to kind of get a good basis of what we're doing here. The way this works is every kind of room or planet will have an apparent temperature, which is the temperature of the planet that's then affected by humidity or wind chill, and you'll have that kind of number present to you so you kind of know what the environment's like you're in. That in turn then affects your body temperature, and if it starts to go too far out of whack, you'll either start to suffer the effects of something like hypothermia when you start getting too cold. So you might start getting sensitive to light, again, start shivering, all the stuff that you saw, the good stuff you saw at CitizenCon. And then on the other side, you've got something like
Vision blur, man, there's going to be so much debate on that one, isn't there? I can see it now. I can see all the discussions happening with the vision blur debate when it comes to temperature. I don't think it's that bad of a move. I really don't.
hyperthermia, which is when you're getting too hot and you start like getting like raspy breath, like your vision might start swimming a little bit. And eventually both of those conditions will result.
People are going to get to the point where they're like, can we turn this off? I don't like this, you know, but I like it. I personally like it. I like it.
If you get far too cold or far too hot. Not all actor statuses are negative. So like hypo and hypothermia, there are no benefits from suffering from those two things. We do have buffs and debuffs gained from the food. They will have some positive effects as well. So you might drink some water, which will kind of keep your thirst at bay for longer.
Oh, apologies. Transam says, I'm covering the status bar. You're right, dude. Hold on, let me scooch me over to the other side. Thank you very much, so everybody can see. In fact, did it go away? Here. I didn't see it. Where at in the video? Oh, here we go. Let me rewind a little bit for what Trans is saying. We can see down in the bottom left here.
Start shivering, all the stuff that you saw, the good stuff you saw at CitizenCon.
Temperature,
and then on the other side,
and life expectancy. Thank you very much, Trans. Thank you. I didn't even realize that till you said that in the chat. So yeah, you can see down in the bottom left area, right around this point here. Hold on, let me play it.
So you might start getting sensitive.
And you can see your health bar, your health, that you saw, the good stuff you saw at the temperature, and
then on the other side, you've got something like
it actually gives you a life expectancy timer, which is very, 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 very cool.
Hyperthermia, which is when you're getting too hot and you start like getting like raspy breath, like your vision might start swimming a little bit. And eventually both of those conditions will result in death if you get far too cold or far too hot. Not all actor statuses are negative. So like hypo and hypothermia, there are no benefits from suffering from those two things. We do have buffs and debuffs gained from the food. They will have some positive effects as well. So you might drink some water, which will kind of keep your thirst at bay for longer. You might eat a chocolate bar that kind of gives you a bit more energy and increases your stamina regeneration. There might even be something medicinal that you can eat to, give you a small amount of health regeneration.
The number on the left that I'm seeing that says 11%, what are we saying that is? That stamina? Is that something for stamina?
It's fun in the same way that you have to pick the right ship for the right job in the PU. Like if you want to go and kill some pirates, you'll want to take a combat ship. If you want to go and mine, you want to go and take a mining ship. In the same way, you want your choice to matter when you go to a planet. We want you to consider ahead, what you want to do when you're there. Like you're going to go there to go and explore outside your ship, then yeah, you'll probably want to, take a cold suit with you.
Look at that suit, man.
If you want to go to a hot planet, for example, as well, you might want to take the hot suit with you, and you might want to take a lot of drink with you, and make your decisions really matter. It just kind of rounds out the Star Citizen experience that people expect with all of these varied, massive environments to explore.
The process of developing Star Citizen is a continuously evolving operation, constantly evaluating where things can be improved and how the way we make video games can grow and mature. From the move to a quarterly release schedule with 3.1 to the switch to a staggered development cadence, one of the ways we improved the process towards the middle of last year was the implementation of the Go, No-Go meeting, an effort to better identify not only when features in development were ready to be included in a quarterly patch, but to find those which would be better served by hanging back and staying in incubation a little while longer.
The go-no-goes are where we make a decision on whether or not features and content are ready for the release.
That dude's hair, like I saw comments today. What's that dude's name? I can't remember, but man, they were talking about his like the actual. By the way, thanks, Jeff. The left and right arrow, had no idea that it actually fast forwarded and rewound by 5 seconds. That's pretty awesome.
Are where we make.
But yeah, everybody was saying the hair, man. They were going like thick, thick hair, beefy.
A decision on whether or not features and content are ready for the release.
Ricky Jutley.
The feature team get together with the directors and production, some members of the executive.
And Fact says this. Fact brings up a good point in the chat, by the way. If you are watching this on video after the stream is done, you can see the live chat about a half an hour or so after this is posted. And Fact brings up a really interesting point on that suit. He's saying, how's that suit going to interact with ship seats? Massive clipping, so that's something that I find completely that suit was so huge. Like, how are they going to make it so the animation is correct when it comes to sitting down? Like that thing, you're absolutely right, man.
Along with all of the other directors from the other teams as well, to collectively review the feature they've been working on.
Actually, one of the reasons why we started this process was before we didn't have those gates to actually really control what was going into the game. Sometimes people will do things in isolation and then they won't see how it works together as a whole thing.
It really makes a point in time in the development schedule to say, actually guys, let's pause, let's evaluate, let's really look at this, play it through.
I think as directors, we basically had to create a list of, hey, this is our criteria, this is what we expect from the product owner, this is what we expect from the team.
So for instance, like Trans is saying you won't be wearing armor in the pilot seats. So like if we're talking about in the future, like I know right now, as far as the armor that I wear, I can sit in the pilot seats with the armor. If it's planned that you can't sit in the pilot seats with armor, that's something unbeknownst to me. I would imagine you would just have to take it off if you're like, it would just say, hey, you're not able to fit in here, so you can't sit down until you take that giant piece of beefy armor off.
And so the real important thing is that we actually as a group are able to make those decisions to say, this is ready, and it hits a certain quality bar that we want to be able to push forward with.
The determination of whether something goes live or not is basically dependent on the quality of that experience.
For instance, when we have a typical feature or a game loop, we want to make sure that a lot of what is needed to prime the player to perform a certain action, take FPS mining for example.
You can actually go to the store, buy the mining equipment, go out, find the mineable rock, mine it, take it back, sell it, and that would
That's interesting. Also in the chat, Cyber is saying that SIG has said several times that you can't wear armor bigger than medium and up in a pilot seat. So that's good information to know.
Be a complete game loop.
So if the experience is something that we think enhances the game and something we want to get into the public's hands and get feedback on, then obviously it's a go.
In terms of decisions we've made, there's been times where things have been a bit 50-50. With those kind of decisions, there's been a fair few times where we've said, well, actually, we think that it'll be good to get out to the backers.
And that means they're not always going to be 100% perfect, but that's why we want to push them out there. We want to gather feedback, we want to look at analytics, we want to talk to the community and discuss how can we progress this, how can we move this on to the next level. In some circumstances, clearly the feature isn't ready, and then it's easy to say, actually, let's relieve the pressure, it's a no-go, and then let's give the team more chance and opportunity to make it better.
I think anytime you work on a project or anything, you're expecting it to be done by a certain deadline. If it doesn't hit that deadline, then you have questions of why, what held us back. But at the same time, I would rather hold something back if it's not right than put it out into the public.
In terms of how these things affect the roadmap, I always feel that on a personal level, can feel a bit disappointed that we were really close to delivering something, but it may need to be pushed out.
And that's kind of why we've started doing the roadmap.
Ricky better be careful what he's going to say about this roadmap, man. They're going to shave his head and cut off that beard if he doesn't say the right thing. Ricky, you better be careful what you're about to say here about this roadmap, bro.
Roundup is that so that we can try and convey the reasons behind why something that was on the roadmap for a little while has then got moved.
If we let a feature in that maybe isn't ready, there will be delays, there will be other bugs that it might create, and therefore it affects our quarterly releases. That's why we need to be so harsh on these things.
And let's be real, what needs to happen is an entire overhaul of this roadmap so that we don't keep having these problems, and better communication inside Cloud Imperium. I've said it till I'm blue in the face, man. They need to consider taking the time to revamp the entire roadmap, look at it, just an overhaul of the entire roadmap, and being realistic and honest with people and telling people what's happening as it's happening, rather than cutting something and then copy pasting it in another area like 2 patches down the road and not saying anything about it. Like, that shit has got to stop. I think all of us can agree with that has got to stop. And they need to seriously look at this and do a much better job of communicating it with the backers. They really have to. It's very important.
Example of something that we've held back from releasing actually is in this quarter. We have a new targeting system that's being worked on from the vehicle team. They're working to update and overhaul the targeting system for the ships, which currently does work, and we could actually release at this point in time right now. However, the UI that comes along with it is not the best way of us showing this feature off for the first time. This is actually going to make a lot better use of the new building blocks UI. So we're going to be holding the new targeting system back until the building block UI is at a position that we can release that to the public, and these two things can come together and be a really good first example of this new targeting system.
Sometimes when you do get a no-go, it can be disheartening because you really work and you put some effort in to obviously get it up to that point.
Our job is to try and hopefully convey that it's not because we don't think what they've done isn't good enough, it's just simply that in the review meeting we're addressed to just give it the best impact that it could do so that the community can feel really impressed with it all.
So while it might be a moment of disappointment, in the long run it's a much greater feeling when you release that feature to the public and they really enjoy it.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that in Star Citizen's first-person universe, it's not just the spaceships you'll need.
It's a little weak. This episode's a little weak for my tastes on this one. Better than the first 3, not as good as the last 2. Not quite sure. It could have been a little bit more insightful.
Need to maintain to achieve your goals. That delaying an anticipated feature can be disappointing to developers and players alike, and a decision never made casually or lightly. But that a no-go is an important firewall against allowing a feature to go live before it's ready. In just one more way, we're working to ensure all features get the time and resources they need to maintain and improve the gameplay experience for Star Citizens everywhere. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. We'll see you next week.
I don't know, guys. I don't know what to think about that one. Oh, wrong one.
Today's video
Sorry.
has been brought to you by
oh God, not professional. Not professional at all. I'm going through all my scenes. Apologies. It's been a long day. So, that's a perfect way to end the stream, actually. I don't know what you guys think. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say on that particular Inside Star Citizen episode. Thank you, Toloy. My goodness. What's going on, bro? He says, Tole says, sup, man, glad you're covering this. Your honesty on Star Citizen and Cloud Imperiums is always appreciated. Thanks, man. Boom. I'm loving the professionalism on that. Thanks, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. That supports the show. That keeps my kids and I eating and makes this a reality. I really want to do this for a living, guys. So I do have my next Patreon goal on there. We are having to give away a Cutlass Red, which is awesome. And I am doing a podcast for VIP members as well. So guys, get involved in that. It's a fun time. I think we are going to go into the poll that we had taken on survival. Let's get into that and let's get professional here. Apologies on the non-professionalism earlier, but we're going to fix that right now. All right, here we are, guys. Right after this is bonus content. We've never done this before in Inside Star Citizen. They talked about survival, and so we're going to go into a poll on survival-based mechanics that we had done quite a while ago. Over 500 votes here. Let me go down here to the poll area. And I want to go over the comments and the results of the poll for these survival-based mechanics that we were talking about way back in 2015 when we were theory crafting it, and everybody told us we were crazy for talking about it. And now it seems like a lot of people have turned the corner and they're actually into the survival mechanics, and I'm happy to see that. In the poll here, we're seeing that. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. There's so many. There we are. Okay. A new leak comes out confirming survival-based mechanics in Star Citizen. While this isn't a surprise to most of us, we were theory crafting this back in 2015 and knew it was coming. Now that it's here, what do you all think? And then, of course, we're here and we're going to talk about this now. This is great. So here were our choices. 67%. This is huge because this is not the results that we had in 2015. What we need right now is to really compare the data that we had in 2015, where when we took a poll on straw poll in 2015, 80% of people were opposed to survival-based mechanics in 2015. And that was with a 200 or 300 sample. This is a larger sample. Obviously, we've grown since then. Our community has grown. We've got 565 people, but a complete turnaround. Now, I've always wanted survival-based mechanics, light survival-based mechanics. So I'm in with that 67% of people. 18% of people said they wanted 100% hardcore base survival mechanic experience, which is also surprising considering in 2015 that only 20% wanted a survival based experience. Now we're seeing that 20% want it all hardcore and 67% want survival based mechanics, but like on a light based format. That is insane. That's 85% of people in this sample that wanted survival-based mechanics. I can't believe it. I don't know what happened from then to now, but something did, and I find it fascinating. 6% of people said they would be happy with or without it. 8% of people said they were skeptical and don't want a hardcore version, but were skeptical of survival-based mechanics. And 2% said flat out No. So that was pretty interesting. I want to go over some of your comments here because I love to do that. I would love to get you guys involved in this community. I love that your voices are being heard. It's great. It's great to do this. Absolutely love it. Dark Angel Gaming says, please don't tell me I have to poo in the middle of a firefight after eating Big Benny's tacos. I don't think we're going to see that from what we saw on Inside Star Citizen. It seems like the guys designing the survival based mechanic don't want to interfere in basic game mechanics like fighting, those types of actions. Yeah, I don't think we're talking anything in those terms as far as like hygiene. I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. I think that you will have to worry in regards of stamina though. So that might play an issue before a battle. It's something that you have to think about. Hitman Triple D says survival mechanics are cool so long as they don't become a burden and a time sink. Absolutely agree, dude. Absolutely agree. Win says, I think survival food drink mechanics will add considerable to exploration and act as a money sink for hired NPCs. That's a pretty neat. Oh, wow. Win. I'm not going to read all that, bro, because that's an amazing amount of literature there. But let's get the concept of what you're trying to get across. He's like, as exploration is the most popular mechanic in games, SIG needs to do all they can do to keep it fun, deep, and involved. If you're stranded on a planet, he's talking about commodities and how they're related to the economy. Farming will also be part of the overall economy. Yes, making farming legitimate, being able to grow food, hunt food, and that food actually matter to the players in the game gives those types of careers more meaning. So like if you, those types of occupations, being a farmer, being a hunter, being somebody that goes after food, and that food's actually needed and that players are using it, not just like part of the quanta of the AI economy, and that people are actually using it, makes those types of occupations pretty cool. And gives those types of occupations much more meaning. So yeah, that is awesome. Christopher says, in real life, we eat 2 to 3 times a day. And so he's also saying, let's see, so as long as it is close to this, so he wants it as real to real life as possible and not something that's like every 10 minutes. And I don't think that's what we're going to get. Although one of my fans did say in my Discord that possibly we could be looking at eating every 20 minutes or so, but I'm not quite sure. I haven't really heard that snippet that one of my fans had mentioned to me on any of the material yet. That I have seen from, now I could be wrong, but I haven't seen anything like confirming that it's going to be like every 20-25 minutes that you have to eat something. I think if it becomes time like that, it might be a little bit ridiculous. Obviously, what we saw in Inside Star Citizen showed us some type of timer when it comes to temperature. So there was a direct relation to the temperature or the environment that you were in regards to the stamina or the amount of energy that you're using and the amount of vision blur that you see, which I think is very relative and very a very cool feature. I actually support that. To get yourself back to normal due to temperature. I'm sure that sweating or any type of activity also has to do with counting down against your stamina and having to eat as well. DG says, Trans says, DG, you have to remember ships have bathrooms, so hygiene will become something. Yes. Oh, I'm aware of that. I think hygiene will play a role when it comes to interaction between NPC. Cyber says there's been no timetable given. You guys are great in the chat. You guys, I love it. I love how you guys are chiming in here. It's great. Grack says, I'm happy to hear that survival is coming along at some point. You shouldn't have to eat every hour just to survive. So here we're seeing again, like more people saying, like Grack is saying, I appreciate the survival based element to the game. I just don't want it to be too crazy. And I appreciate that. J-Dub says, I'm okay with some survival thrown in for realism's sake, but seriously, I don't want SIG to make it like other survival games like Subnautica or The Forest where I have to find food and water every 15 minutes. Yeah, exactly. So again, we got that call to say, let's now make this such a hardcore experience that it dampens other gameplay features in the game. Absolutely agree with J-Dubs. By the way, J-Dubs, thank you, because he's the one who's giving out the Cutlass Red for our community. You're awesome, J-Dubs. Love you, dude. Zarak says, I'm all for survival mechanics. I want my Coney and Exile's water bottle and campfire back. But in my mind, survival mechanics implies some sort of crafting mechanics. Wow. Yeah, we've talked about this on the channel. You can type up Star Citizen and crafting on the channel. We've talked about it. I would like to see some forms of crafting in the game now. That's a lot of people gonna just raise up their fists and get angry at it, but I absolutely would like to see some types of forms of crafting in the game. And I've talked about on the channel, if you're interested in what I would like to see in the game, and we were theory crafting this, and if you type that in, you can see that there's Xerax. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, dude. That's great. I'm glad you mentioned that. Kodiak says, I'm all for an accurate survival game. This game tries to make everything accurate and believable. So long as they make the eating, drinking, and sleeping accurate, then it will be good. If they make it hardcore, it will ruin the baseline they're going for. Absolutely agree with you, Kodiak. Mr. Lag says, I'm all about it. Gib survival game. Boy, he's more Gib survival than he is Gib Carrick. At that point in time, the Carrick wasn't around. So good for you, Mr. Lag. Good for you doing wanting that. BDH says, sorry, Star Citizen backers had this huge argument a long time ago about survival mechanics. Yes, we did. We need to worry about food and hygiene. This was a huge topic that was settled by Chris a long time ago. It wasn't necessarily, I mean, it was settled in the fact that, like, when we first started talking about this in 2015, it wasn't necessarily settled. There was a big debate going on before we got the final word about it. But then we didn't know how they were implementing it. So it was really nice to see on this last Inside Star Citizen that they're going about it in the way that they are. Of course, we got to make sure it's in the game, and I got to test it before I give my final opinion on it. But it wasn't anything that was always set in stone, other than the fact that finally, after these discussions that had happened here on the channel in 2015 and others, where like this was put into the community, that finally like a word was given from Chris that survival will in fact be in the game. And it was questionable at some point. It was something that was very heated debate. And like I said, in the poll that we had done in 2015, it actually showed that 80% of people were against, at least in the poll that I had done, that 80% of people were against it. And now to see this kind of swing around and see that more people are for it is very encouraging for me. It means that we have a player base that is more attuned to like a realistic or experience that supports realism in the gameplay. So I'm actually very happy to see that turnaround. Prince Sean says, I would love for their survival mechanics to be a driving point for the dynamic economy, which it will be. It will be, because food actually matters now. It absolutely will be more important, that the value of it won't just be a calculation in the algorithm. It's going to be players needing it, and it'll actually have some tangible value to food, which is great. If storefronts are in short supply of commodities, including food supplies, if space truckers aren't running those supplies, which would increase the value of running those commodities. Absolutely. Basic supply demand mechanics, Prince. Boom, you're on it, dude. Hammer Dookie, who's also in the stream. What's up, Hammer? I didn't say hi to you, but I did see you sneak in here, dude. What's going on, bro? Hammer says, I play and have played quite a few games with survival mechanics. I chose light-based format because usually hardcore becomes an eat and drink sim. Absolutely agree. Sometimes people take it way over the top. Absolutely agree with you, Hammer. He says, I really like the idea of having to eat, drink, shower, and drop a dookie. But Hammer Dookie, dude. That's why he's named it. See what I did there? Yes, I did. As the universe increases in size, travel times become much longer while exploring or running trade routes, etc. This will A, help with immersion, and B, make things we want in the game actually have a use, such as food stations, toilets, beds, etc. This type of things influence many of our decisions on ship purchases. So what Hammer's saying here is that, you know, the very cool part about this is it's going to make you think about what supplies you're going to take with you on an expedition. What is the goal here? What is the overall goal? Are you going out to explore? Are you finding a wormhole? Perhaps you're going to land on a planet or a moon. What does the planet or moon have on it? Is there any species on the planet that you have to worry about? Maybe bring some weapons. How much food are we going to need? You know, how long are we going to be here? These things are great because then you got logistics. You got somebody that you can actually hire as well in your crew and say, hey, you're the logistics dude. You figure it out. You like logistics? Great. You're the guy who does the logistics for our crew. If you're a solo guy, you're still going to have to figure out what you're going to pack in your smaller ship for whatever trip you're going to take. And the smaller the ship, the smaller amount of supplies, the less you're probably going to bring back, the less amount of time you're going to be able to stay on wherever environment that you land on. This is great. This brings about like a very dynamic, deep, immersive gameplay element to the game. When you do these survival based kind of gameplay mechanics, you're bringing about I think, much more realism, and that affects everything else around it. That'll affect the economy. That'll affect careers and actually giving players jobs. This is going to give jobs. So this is great. Yeah, absolutely agree, Hammer. That is a awesome comment. What's up, Astro? Hey, Solara, how you guys doing? Good to see you in the chat. I'm just flying through these. Damon says survival mechanics are, hold on one second. My eyes are getting terrible. Survival mechanics are relatively easy to implement, provide challenges and more gameplay. I'm all for that, but I don't want it too obtrusive. Yeah, so here we go again. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree with you, Damon. Ted says, in real life, I love food. So it frustrates me to have all these food vendors and I can't order a hot dog. How much more did you? That said, if none of it were in game, I would never be saying, gosh, I wish we had food, toilets, and showers in the game. But all that aside, I hope they don't pixelate my female character in the shower like The Sims does. Shay says, as long as they aren't breaking the game with this mechanism, it will be good. Very late for, okay, yes. So more of the same in that vein. Mechanical Cheese, great name, dude. Sierra said, fun comes first. It's very important to hold them to that. If everything becomes a grind. Okay, so here we have somebody who's actually worried that survival-based mechanics might get out of hand. I don't blame him. That's something that should be monitored. We should all make sure we're very vigilant that it doesn't go over the top. I totally agree. I don't think it should be to the point where we're eating every 5-10 minutes. That's definitely going to ruin the fun. So yeah, I agree with you, Cheese. Like, I don't want it to get too crazy. I think that we should continue to kind of make sure that that we're getting the gameplay, the survival gameplay that we want. Mr. Flaka. What's going on, Mr. Flaka? Mr. Flaka. He says, just another thing. Hardcore implies realism. And realistically speaking, most of us only crap once every 2 days on average, and most of us only get hungry every 2 to 4 hours. But a normal, healthy individual should be sipping water regularly throughout the day and urinating 2 to 3 hours. These are the estimates. So Flaka's given us the estimates on how we should be eating and peeing. There you go, guys. If you're wondering how much you should be eating or peeing in a day, Mr. Flacha, he knows it. It's good to see you, bud. Johnny says, with 6 track record, it's really hard to tell where they'll take this. So Johnny's a little worried it might get out of hand. So there's a couple people you can see that are commenting, and they are a little bit worried. I can understand it. I mean, like, we all felt that way with flight mechanics, and we've seen flight mechanics in times where we liked it. We've seen flight mechanics. We've never really truly, any of us, been like, these are the flight mechanics that we want. But we've seen flight mechanics like go from like a good state to like an okay state to like, holy crap, what is this? To like, okay, we're getting better. Now we're in hover mode. We got to know a little bit more. Some people didn't like it, and now we took it out. Now, so there's all these different levels, and I think survival is going to be very similar. It's going to be one of those types of mechanics where, okay, there's a little too much, there's not enough. And eventually, I think through testing and playing, and this is why we're doing it, is they're going to get to the point where we get a baseline and everybody says, all right. Wizard says, choose hardcore, but I'm not about the every hour thing. Okay. All right, Wizard, I get you. We've been hearing that. Definitely don't want to have to think how hungry is my character. Okay, so people, again, Killian says, I find it great with demands of realism from the SC community on so many levels. I do respect that. I do like the fact that they're keeping this game as real as possible. I have always liked that about Star Citizen when it comes to the design of the game itself. Like, how real can we make this and balancing it with the fun? That seems to be a pattern or a theme I've noticed for the 5 years I've been involved with this, is that is a constant theme, and I'm very happy for that. I don't see why there shouldn't be survival mechanics like eat, drink, and sleep, says Kill. To be honest, I find it key to make sense of much stuff still to come. Why have a bunk bed in a ship when there's no need to sleep? Why, like you said, have so many different snack bars on planets and rest stops when there's no use for it? I've said that a lot, actually. So it's nice to see that we're seeing a use for these places. Also, food being, having a life cycle and rotting as it gets older. We've seen the amount of work that has been implemented implemented into food and places where you eat. We talked about that last week. So we're just continuing that conversation now, and Kill's echoing what I've said and how he feels. Why have bars if we can't get drunk? It needs to be balanced in a non-annoying way, but overall it's a great thing that's adding that #VAG to the game, that value added gameplay that I think, didn't we make that around CitizenCon? Wasn't it around CitizenCon when we said that? What's up, Cash? Welcome to the stream, bro. Good to see you here, man. It's great to see you guys here. By the way, super shout out to the fam for taking the time hanging out here on a very late night. We got 40 people. Usually we're much higher than that, but it is very late tonight. We're like 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's just because I had a busy day. But I totally want to give props out to the family that have showed up in droves here tonight at a it's Thursday at 12 a.m. and there's 40 people here. So I just want to thank people for taking the time out to chill with me, get our voices heard. And this is why I'm doing this bonus content for you guys. Because you took the time out to be here on a very odd hour. Thank you so much, guys. Sean says this game is going to need the credit syncs. So my hope is that this ties in with how effective players are in managing their NPC crew. Absolutely. If you're a cheap boss and only stock your ship with low-grade supplies, maybe you have higher crew turnover, lower performance. We talked about this, and we talked about if you type in Star Citizen NPC crew, I've got 2 videos talking about this and what is intended for your NPC crew, about the weekly stipends that you will have to pay to your NPC crew, how NPC crew are planned to have different skill sets, how they will increase upon how long or the duration of time that you hire these guys, these NPCs, how their levels will increase, how their skills will increase. And I think food also might tie into it. This is a great question. I think that, in fact, food is something that NPCs will need. And oh my goodness, there's my mother, twirling knives. Welcome to the family, Chris. Woo, man, I forgot I had that alert, dude. That scared the bejesuses out of me. Welcome to the fam, dude. Welcome to the fam. Mom is twirling knives to welcome you, dude. I'm like, Thank you. Kuv says this one could slip easily and go over the top. Yep. So Kuv is a little bit worried as well. So we've got a couple people that are a little bit worried. Boom, Hammer Dookie. Thanks, dude. Thanks you, man. That's very nice of you. Keeps us going, keeps us alive, makes this a reality. That's what I want to do. I want to do this for a living. Thank you so much. Thank you, dude. He says, be right back. Got to use my survival mechanic. Go use your survival mechanic right now, Hammer. Eagle says, I'm glad they did too many sim pilots. Think this is some pure flight sim, and it makes sense. Water and food in space is more important than gold, and opens up a whole new industry play. Ice mining for water extracting on planets, water refining. Yeah, the whole, this opens up industries all over the map. Absolutely. Food growing of raw foods on planets and ships like Endeavor for more. Yes. And I'm most excited about survival based mechanics for this reason, because of the economy. So Eagle, dead on, dude. Dead on. Love it. Pierre, what's going on, Pierre? Yeah, pretty much what the survey says. I like it, but I don't want to spend half my time in game looking for food or water because the timer reset every damn minute. Now, interestingly enough, the contrast here is that some people will want to spend all their time looking for food and water because that will be their job. Chris says, thanks, DG. Mom scares me, but glad to be here. That's funny. Eclectic Signal says, seems okay, but I don't want hardcore survival. I don't think we're getting eclectic, so don't worry, dude. Invisible says, for me, realistic damages, gore, guts, and visuals take precedence over eat, sleep, drink survival mechanics. If I had a choice between one or the other, I'd rather have light survival mechanics with hardcore gore. I bet he's a big Doom fan, so I understand that, Invisible. I understand it. T says, I love survival mechanics, but most games are just about that. Star Citizen has many gameplay elements, so it cannot be just about survival gameplay. And it won't be, T. Don't worry, dude. It won't be. Eating should be something that is fun. For example, if you don't eat, your character gets sluggish, but not every hour. The other thing that's interesting too is eating will also open up the social aspect of the game. in restaurants where you actually have to like eat. Perhaps you want to sit down, you'll talk to somebody, you know, that you normally wouldn't talk to, VoIP, you know, at the point where they get that maybe I have to change that alert, man. Thank you, Commander. Welcome to the family. That is my mother welcoming you. What made me do that alert? Oh my god, it's so funny. It was very funny when I filmed that. It was actually very like Christy's like, you got to make that an alert. I'm like, you know what? I think I will. Maybe I'll change the music though. It's very disconcerting. Erad says, I love the way it's done in Kingdom Come Deliverance. In fact, yes, one of our fans in the chat had mentioned Kingdom Come Deliverance, I believe, as a survival based game. Not too intrusive, but still needed from time to time. Yes. Anax says, light survival, but still with consequences. Yes. Deadly Dragon says, I like the idea. They could even add different buffs and debuffs, which they are, and they currently have like the animations for when you get drunk in the game already. When you got your little liquor cabinet, I do in my hangar, and if I take a little drink, and if I take too many, you already get some of that. It looks like they're perfecting the vision blur. It looks like they're getting to the point where the animations are much better than what they were. Chris says, I like playing the game 7 Days to Die. When you're in, I've never played that game. Kelly always tries to get me to play that game. I've never played 7 Days to Die. When you're in situations where you are short on supplies, you will definitely notice the survival mechanics. But as you get flush with supplies, the mechanic fades away. You don't really think too much about it until you get stranded away from supplies. I hope SC will feel like this too. It should only be pronounced in situations where you are stranded on a planet or prison. Whew. Cyber says, that's your mother? It explains so much. Brandon says, I like it because it adds purpose to ships with long distance luxuries like a bed or kitchen. I definitely wouldn't want to feel like I constantly have to eat or drink, as that would greatly take away from the game. A survival mechanic could potentially add a huge amount of immersion. Absolutely. Velio says, same as probably most backers I appreciate, but let's say having to eat and drink about once every day is enough. Snow Fox says, I think it's funny how people are still acting like this is coming out of nowhere. When Sig has been talking about this for years now. Yeah, we were talking about it, I think, even before Sig was talking about it. The thing that I'm really waiting for, though, is see how players lose their mind when Sig takes away the back space suicide key. Now they're going to have to drive the SV community up the wall. Lucas says, I'm happy. Regarding how much someone and how often one should eat, I guess the same as human beings in real life. All right, I'm all right. Says the devil is in the details. Absolutely. And I think that's why you see a lot of people kind of worried that they might take it a little too far in terms of the details. I suspect the driver will be buffs and debuffs for your character, and the eating, drinking, and stay alive should be minimal, such that you probably won't have to eat or drink every time you play unless you are looking for buffs. I would hope that the basics would be no different than in real life. Yeah, dude. The interesting pieces could be addiction. Now that is kind of cool. I like that idea. I think that's something that should be looked into, like with the stims, with the illegal drug trade. That's a pretty cool concept where like there's an addiction meter or some like there's some type of like makes you keep coming back for the drug, just for the economy's sake. That would be kind of cool. I like that. That's a neat angle. I've never really thought of that, but I totally dig that, dude. Infidel says survival mechanics are complete shite. The last thing I want to do is babysit a hunger meter. So here's Infidel's like one of the guys that voted. There was, I think, only 6% of people that were, or it might even be less than that said no, like flat out no, doesn't want it. So Infidel's one of those guys. He says no. Boba. Did I make the poll on time? I like the idea of needing to eat, but don't try and make it like Scum so you need so much caloric intake to sustain. Yeah, like Scum is definitely the type of game that is a hardcore survivalist based game. I had gotten asked a question by one of our audience members here watching on stream live, and his question to me, I believe it was Kay, and Kay was like, what do you think is a good survival game or a game that you're into? And I did like Scum based on the fact that it is a survival game, but I don't want to take it that hardcore. I don't want to take it to that level. I think that's way too much for Star Citizen. So I get it. Mackie Harrow says, I get the desire for immersion and whatnot, but to me, making the best damn space sim ever doesn't mean carrying around bottles of water in place of ammo. I just wish, and I don't think, I mean, like, perhaps you can have an area for a canteen. Perhaps, like, you know, make sure where you're parking your ship for your water supplies, stuff like that. I don't think it would be conducive to be carrying like tons of water on you. Like, you know, you're going to have an instance where you have a couple rations and perhaps a canteen on you. So, Mackie, I think that I wouldn't worry so much about that. I would worry where my ship is with all the supplies. If I had a trip on an exploration type ship where I'm going to be on a planet for a long time, I would. PB says, I think survival mechanics make a lot of sense. Exploration and survival go hand in hand. I think explorers are most happy. I think explorers and those in the economy, those are the industrial players, are probably the happiest for these survival based mechanics. And of course, those that like playing survival based games. But very interesting. Personal inventory will have space as well, as Cash is saying in the chat. Absolutely. So there's going to be an area also with your rucksack that you're going to be able to you have a personal inventory area where you're able to carry these types of items as well. It really depends upon the situation. And again, why I love survival is now you're going to have to kind of plan out the area. Like, what are you doing? Are you going on a mission where you're going to attack? Are you going on a scouting mission? Are you exploring? Are you trading? Like, it makes you question how the amount of supplies that you're going to need based upon like your occupation or your mission, your personal mission. Player driven mechanics, players and players deciding what to do. This is supporting player driven mechanics. Why I totally dig that survival is in the game. Digging it. Absolutely digging it. Like, it's a positive experience because it's actually supporting player to player experiences. So anyhow, I think I'm going to call it a night, guys. There's a couple more comments on here. I apologize I didn't get to them, but like, I don't want to get you guys to the point where you're just like blasting your hands and your eyeballs. But I wanted to tell you guys, thank you so very much for showing up here at such an hour. And it's still 2 times more than we ever got on Twitch, 2 to 3 times more than we ever got on Twitch. We're doing so good here. Check out the channel. Make sure to bookmark it. Lots of content there. And I can't wait to release this and see people's thoughts in the comments below. It's just an awesome time I'm having with you guys. I'm excited about the podcast. I'm excited about the Cutlass Red giveaway. I'm excited where we're going. And I really want to do this for a living. And I'm hoping we hit that next Patreon goal, because if we do, then I can lock down a schedule and I can give you guys actual times. And because of that support, like, block out time in my day to give these to you all the time. Inside Star Citizen Review, we have done every Thursday for a year and a half. That is commitment. And we have seen super growth here on the channel because of that commitment. So I want to do that also with other streams, like my DG in the morning stream. I want to start doing it every Tuesday and Thursday. Sometimes I can only do it on a Tuesday. Sometimes I can only do it on a Thursday. But I want to lock down some time. Hopefully we can hit that next goal. And if we do, great. I think that we will. It's not if, it's a matter of when. And when we do, boom, we're going to have like constant, steady streaming, a schedule. It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait, but I need your support. I need your help, guys. Make sure you're smashing the like button right now. I know we don't have tons of people here online right now, but if everyone could take the time to actually push the like button, to do what they can do to get the show out there, to share the show, I think that would be awesome. I appreciate you guys. I love you, fam, and I will see you on the next vid or stream. Momentum.